Yo, what's up? Welcome back to another episode of The Sauce. Continuing on with Conference Championship Weekend. ACC here. Clemson, SMU. Let's do it.
Hey, get the sauce.
All right, like I said, we got Clemson, SMU here. This game is in Charlotte, so I would imagine there should be significantly more Clemson fans here than SMU fans. Not only does Clemson have a much bigger fan base, but they're also much closer to Charlotte. So definitely a fortunate location for Clemson. As far as the line, SMU's laying 2.5. It actually looks like there's twos popping up now. It's been at 2.5 for most of the week. I'm seeing a few twos out there. Total sitting at 55.5 pretty much across the board. Let's take a look at the pie charts here. And according to the data, action's coming in pretty split, maybe slightly leaning towards SMU, just over 55% of the tickets, about 50% of the money. As I always say, take this data with a grain of salt. So let's get into this matchup, and we'll start with the Clemson offense. And this was a fun one. This is a very interesting matchup here. You take a look at this graphic right here, and the Clemson offense against the SMU defense. Looks like SMU may have the slight edge in terms of raw data. 11th in yards per play allowed, 13th in success rate. Clemson offensively 28th and 23rd. Now, the schedule-adjusted FEI ratings have Clemson's offense at 7th, SMU's defense at 14th because of the tougher schedule. But the point I'm making is you look at this graphic and you might think, Klubnik is screwed. No way Clemson's going to be able to move the ball. And you have reason to believe that. I mean, you look at Klubnik's numbers on the year, they look excellent. Over 3,000 yards, 7.5 yards per attempt, 29 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. But what has the story always been with Cade Klubnik? You can't trust him against the great defenses. I mean, he lights up the shitty defenses, but when he sees those great defenses, he never seems to show up. And here's the graphic right here. This year is no different. In their 5 games against top 50 defenses, so I'm not talking top 10 defenses, top 50 defenses, just 6 yards per pass attempt, 40% success rate per dropback. You can see in their other 7 games, passing numbers look elite. So the story with Cade Klubnik remains true. Can't trust him against these great defenses. And you look at SMU's recent numbers against the pass, and you'd have to conclude that this is a great defense. In their last 6 games, they're allowing 5.7 yards per pass attempt, 31.6% success rate per dropback. They've been elite against the pass. So right off the bat, we're like, here's another great defense. Klubnik is not going to show up here. But here's the thing we have to consider when we're talking about SMU's defense. This entire season, they've only played 2 offenses ranked in the top 25. 2. That's it. TCU and Louisville. In those 2 games, they allowed 34.5 points per game, over 6.4 yards per play. Look at the numbers against the pass. They allowed 372 passing yards per game in those 2, 9.2 yards per attempt, success rate per dropback over 47%. So this SMU defense has elite numbers against the pass, except the 2 times they saw top 25 offenses, in which case they got lit the hell up through the air. And if you're thinking, Kyle, well, top 25 is a little bit extreme. Okay, let's back it up to top 50. They've played 4 games against top 50 offenses. In those 4 games, they're allowing 28.8 points per game, over 5.9 yards per play. Look at their numbers in their other 8 games against lesser offenses. 15.6 points per game, 31.2% success rate, 4.11 yards per play allowed. So this SMU defense has racked up elite numbers against some really bad offenses, and the 4 times they saw offenses ranked in the top 50 didn't look nearly as good. Now, at this point, you might be thinking, Kyle, well, I really don't care because I don't trust Klubnik at all. And honestly, I don't blame you if you think that. We just do have to point out that this SMU defense against the pass might not be nearly as elite as these numbers are showing. And check this out. Now we're going to talk about SMU's run defense, and it honestly gets even more interesting. So on the season, SMU's got elite numbers against the run. I'm talking about 2.76 yards per carry allowed, 37.6% success rate per rush, 92 rushing yards allowed per game. I mean, elite run defense numbers here. You look at these defensive line metrics from SMU, and you might think there's no way Clemson can run the ball in this game. 15th in line yards, 21st in stuff rate, 3rd in power success rate. So you might think there's no chance Clemson can run the ball in this game. But check this out. This is where it gets interesting. SMU has not seen a single rushing attack this entire season. The highest ranked rushing attack that SMU has seen this year is Boston College, sitting at 24th according to Sharp College Football. Boston College, they've been struggling to run the ball all year. Now, they have seemed to have figured it out the last few weeks, but Boston College isn't some dangerous, dynamic rushing attack. That's the best rushing attack you've seen all year is Boston College. And by the way, Boston College was able to run the ball on SMU, so it's not like they shut Boston College down. The Boston College RBs in that game on the road at SMU, 36 carries, 175 yards, 4.86 yards per carry. So the best best rushing attack they've seen all year was Boston College, and Boston College on the road was able to run the ball on SMU. So I definitely think Clemson's going to be able to run the ball in this game. I mean, the only defense that was able to limit the Clemson rushing attack so far this year was Georgia, 2.14 yards per carry, 47 rushing yards in the opener. In the 11 games since then, they're averaging over 5.7 yards per carry as a team, almost 51% success rate per rush, over 204 rushing yards per game. So I think Clemson's going to be able to run the ball in this game. So whether or not you trust Cade Klubnik, that's the decision you're going to have to make, but I do think he's going to have run support, and I do think this SMU secondary, this SMU pass defense is dramatically overrated. So yeah, I think Clemson's going to run the ball. I think Klubnik could even play somewhat decently well. I mean, if you don't trust Klubnik, I get it. I'm not completely opposed to you, but I do think they're going to be able to run the ball in this game. Now let's switch it over to the other side of the ball. We got the SMU offense. If you look at their season-long numbers, you would think this is a run-first offense, 42nd in run frequency. But if you've followed SMU football this year, you know that that's not really the case. They were running the ball a lot early in the season. Since making the switch over to Jennings at quarterback, they've really developed into a pass-first offense. You can see their numbers on the season here. I mean, this is one of the most explosive passing attacks in the country. 7th in yards per pass attempt, 39th in success rate per dropback, 12th in effective pass. But they're seeing a Clemson defense that has elite numbers against the pass. 25th in YPA, 23rd in success rate, 8th in effective pass themselves. Now, I mentioned how SMU has become a pass-first offense, but actually, it's not just that they're throwing the ball more. The efficiency numbers haven't been there for SMU in terms of running the ball. In weeks 4 through 9, they were averaging almost 5 yards per carry as a team, almost 50% success rate per rush. In their last 4 games against Pitt, Boston College, Virginia, and Cal, just 4.02 yards per carry as a team. Success rate per rush under 34%, 131.8 rushing yards per game. So not only have they been throwing the ball more, but the run game hasn't really been there for them. So when I look at this graphic here, Clemson numbers against the run, it's versus top 80 offenses. Basically, I just filtered out their cupcake games. So in those 8 games, they're allowing over 4.9 yards per carry, 42% success rate per rush, 148.8 rushing yards per game. This shows us that the Clemson defensive front can be vulnerable to the run. But the thing is, like we just saw, SMU struggling to run the ball on Boston College, Virginia, Cal. Those are tough defenses, but Clemson, I don't know if SMU is going to be able to run the ball in this game. Now, in the last 4 games, it hasn't mattered that SMU couldn't run the ball because Kevin Jennings is just going nuclear on the season, over 2,700 yards. Keep in mind, he wasn't even the starter till the 3rd or 4th game. Over 2,700 yards, 9.3 yards per attempt, 19 touchdowns, 7 interceptions. Since taking over, since he was named the starter, they're averaging 9.81 yards per pass attempt as a team. Success rate per dropback over 46%, over 276 passing yards per game. So since Kevin Jennings was named the starting quarterback, this has become an electric passing attack. And we have to give credit to the SMU offensive line because they've done a great job in pass protection, which is going to come in handy against the Clemson defensive line. They have a good pass rush. They might be able to give Kevin Jennings some clean pockets to throw from as well. So far it's looking pretty good for Jennings in the SMU passing attack. But then we get right here, and this is where we find some value on Clemson, in my opinion. You pull up this graphic, it says versus their 3 best quarterbacks. This is what Andy put. Carson Beck, Calandria, Bailey, CJ Bailey from NC State. In those 3 games, if you look at this graphic here, it looks like Clemson's defense has struggled the 3 times they saw quarterbacks that can really sling it. But here's the thing about this graphic. The only quarterback that's legitimate for is Carson Beck. The other 2 did all of their damage in garbage time. In the Virginia game, Clemson was up 38-10 at the start of the 4th quarter. Calandria then drove up and down the field twice to put up 14 more points. In the NC State game, Clemson was up 52-7 in the 3rd quarter. NC State ended up scoring 35 points in the game. So CJ Bailey went up and down the field 4 times and scored 4 touchdowns after this point. So let's pull this graphic back up. Clemson against the best quarterbacks they've seen. Yes, those quarterbacks were able to put up solid stat lines against Clemson, but like I said before, the only one that legitimately had a good game start to finish against Clemson was Carson Beck in the opener 3 months ago. So I'm a believer in this Clemson defense against the pass. I don't believe in the SMU rushing attack. I'm on the Tigers here. Go Tigers. So where does that leave me in terms of placing a bet? Well, I bet this game twice. I have Clemson at plus 2.5, and I also bet SMU team total under 28.5. Because like I said, I believe in this Clemson defense against the pass, and SMU hasn't been able to run the ball efficiently in over a month. So I like the matchup for the Clemson defense. Not sure how much I believe in Cade Klubnik, but I do think Clemson's able to run the ball in this game. I don't think they should be catching points. So give me the 2.5 Give me SMU team total under 28.5. Let's do it. If you'd like to see all the bets I currently have open, head over to KyleKirms.com and click on open bets. You'll see all mine as well as everyone else on the staff here. Also, if you sign up to Sauce Network Plus, it comes with access to the Discord, and you can participate in the weekly betting league, all of that. So head over to the website and sign up if you're interested. Make sure you catch the live shows. Be sure to bet responsibly. Hit me up in the Discord if you need me.